Everybody to the half flip with myself, Gibbs, and the wonderful, beautiful Jamesbot. How you doing, James?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm out here in beautiful Yorba Linda, California for Collegiate Rocket League. But you know what I'm doing right now? The half flip with you, Gibbs. I'm so excited.
Wow.
This is the
Thank
first
you.
ever show.
Thank you for taking time out of your day to do this podcast with me. So this will obviously be in video form and also audio form on Spotify and iTunes and all of that for podcast feeds, yada, yada. But it's all thanks to Prediction Esports. That's two E's, not in the esports part, in the prediction part. Little confusing, but we'll get there. Twitch.tv/Prediction Esports is where we're putting on the show live every Tuesday around 3 p.m. Eastern. We had some technical difficulties today, so for the first show, but we got it done. And it'll be on my YouTube. It'll be on Prediction Esports YouTube as well for the whole episode if you want to check that out. But James doesn't have a webcam today because he's out in beautiful California for a week. So I picked the prettiest picture of James, which is still, like, I looked through like 30 pictures of you, James, and I was like,
this is still the best one.
No, they're still all better than my live webcam. So so I should have just put you over me. So then we would.
No, Gibbs, no, because you what you lack in beauty, you make up in charisma, and that's what the people want to see.
Hey, there's some beauty here too. It's just under a few layers. All right.
No, I agree. I agree.
And my voice is terrible right now too, so I apologize for that. But we're slowly getting over this cold or whatever I had. Who knows? Maybe I'm dying. That's every week, though. James hates when I come in sick, and then he's like, "I'm just like he doesn't
Honestly,
want to talk to me."
it's just a meme at this point because you come in sick every week. I haven't gotten sick once.
It's because I have two kids now, man. One goes to daycare, then with the lack of sleep and all these flights, it's just a recipe for disaster. It's terrible. All right, James. So let's get into it. We're going to have different segments throughout the show. Production quality this week. We might not have all the topics written down and all that stuff on the video, but we'll get there eventually, maybe. We'll see. But the first topic that we got to talk about is the must-see games from last week. So we each will choose one series that we think is a must-watch for people to go back to and, talk a little bit about it. Not too long because we want to get over, to the new stuff, the new exciting stuff. So mine, James, I had for a while, like on our document, I had Space Station versus Energy, that big upset. But honestly, I think the best gameplay was Ghost versus Pittsburgh Knights. That series was solid through and through. Maybe because there was a lot of offense, but just the dynamic duo of Atomic and Mist versus Reddles and AJ with the roster moves and all that going on. That series was really fun to watch.
It was a lot of fun to watch. And for me, I had said on the desk when we were going into that series that things were going to get worse for the Knights before they got better, because watching them in the previous weeks, they seemed to just struggle with AJ. AJ wasn't finding his spot on the field. They couldn't figure things out. But this week, it was a different story. We saw glimpses week one of the AJ and Reddles potential synergy, and they brought it full force funny this week
because they only took it to game 5, 2 minutes left in that first week when they're like, all right, now we'll start playing to take down Flight. But that's the thing to me, like, we got two superstars in the making, in my opinion, Reddles and Atomic. Reddles, I think, doesn't get enough credit. This guy is so consistently good. Every time I see them on the field, like even back in the DreamHack Finals, World Championships, sometimes you see some nerves come out of Gyro and Mist, his former teammate. But Reynolds is just so consistent. What you're getting out of him every single match.
It's a personality thing, I think, Gibbs, because there's a lot of people who first reaction to Reynolds, his personality and his online behavior is they pull back. They aren't a fan. Some people get attracted to that. He's going to be a very polarizing personality. But I agree with you. You can't deny his ability on the field, especially in this series. You could tell that he did not want to lose to Mist. You could tell it was personal just by the way that he was driving that car out on the field. And he really did do so much for his team. He did it even in the series they were losing. He's everywhere. He's so fast, and he can hit some really, really quality shots. He's going for bumps, being aggressive. Reynolds is an all-around phenomenal player, but you also mentioned Atomic. And I think Atomic's a player that's kind of under the radar, Gibbs. Mm-hmm. A lot of people talk about First Killer this season saying, how great he's going to be. He's going to be a prodigy. Well, to me, Atomic was also one of those players who got a little bit of a later start due to some drama, a competitive ruling where he was, not able to play for the first year of his eligibility. but he comes in and you just watch him play. Look at the passes that he makes. Look at how difficult those are.
Yeah. The playmaking ability of Atomic, like we talk about top 5 in NA. Let's take energy out. But once we start talking about top 5 outside of energy, Atomic is making that list, I think, soon, very soon. He is climbing up, just making these plays like the trap passes to just like making something out of nothing. He does it so often for Ghost. And I think that's just going to continue. And I really hope we get to see him at the World Championship, see him on a big stage and see how he handles that. But Ghost right now, sure, they lost the series, but they're looking good.
Certainly. They're a team that I still expect to be in the running for top 4. You can't ever count them out, especially now that they have missed. They are better than ever.
Yeah.
So time will only tell. Time will only tell with these guys to see if they can figure out the synergy.
All right, James, what series did you want to watch again or have the fans watch again?
Do I even have to say it? Do I even have to say it?
Yes, you do. It's a podcast, James. This is an audio.
Well, fine. I'm trying. It's called building suspense, Gibbs.
Well, I don't know. It's only episode 1. I don't know.
Okay, all right. The series that you must go back and watch is from Europe. It's the Renault Vitality Barca series. That series was incredible. The level of play, so fast. Vitality finally shows up. Alpha had a killer week. And even in this game, it went to multiple overtimes. And it was just it was a treat to watch these guys play at the level they were playing. Ronicky and Flakes, that's a duo that we're going to be hearing more and more about. I look forward to Devo continuing to play well. He hasn't really been the superstar on his team, which is crazy. But for Vitality, Alpha, now that he's starting to gain confidence, you have to watch out. That Vitality team might be the favorites to win Worlds if they keep playing the way they're playing.
And speaking of Devo, we talked about Atomic earlier with the playmaking ability. That's turned into what Devo has been doing too, just setting up plays now. He's not going for those goals necessarily, but he's setting up a lot. But we both didn't choose the big upsets for the week with VELOCE beating Rec as well, but it's just because the level of play like in these two matches was so high. And Barca, sure, you lose to Vitality, but it's not the end of the world because they played great. They played fantastic.
It very easily could have gone the other way. Again, it went to 2 overtimes. If those overtimes go the other way, they're winning 3-1 instead of losing 3-1. Barca, I was a little bit critical of Flakes because Flakes is another player that I think, he likes the drama. He likes the drama. He likes being talked about. He likes the spotlight. I think that's a good and a bad thing. But at the end of the day, it's a similar situation to Reddles. You can't deny that he's a great player. He really is a great player. He's got a lot of ability. And I think with time, he'll only continue to grow as a person and a player. But it makes Barca such an enjoyable team to watch play.
And speaking of card choices, we did have a topic for a little while that I was going to go on a rant about card choices. But breaking news with the Intel World Open, pretty much all the details came out for this. That there's still some gray areas where I think some questions have to be answered about eligibility for countries and all that stuff. So we'll wait on that. But let's talk about this because this is big. It's finally here. And we get to talk about what countries go where to what events and all this stuff. So, James, I actually linked you the rule set and all that, or the announcement, so we can go through this together. We'll actually bring this up full screen here a little bit so you guys can see it. But it's interesting. There's multiple qualifiers, and I think we all knew this was coming, or qualifier stage, but then it's kind of weird how they do it because there's a national qualifier, and then you automatically go to Poland where the top 16 teams or the 16 countries will battle it out.
It's national or regional, correct?
Exactly, yeah. So there's some that are national, some that are regional, which is where it gets interesting. So for the national teams, you got Australia, you have Brazil, Canada, China, France, Germany. Japan will go to Tokyo automatically, so that won't go to Poland. Yeah, so they still have to play to see who their team is for Japan. Then the UK,
which will be realized. You would
assume. UK and then the US. So those guys will automatically go to Poland. The other ones are the regional qualifiers, where the regional qualifiers, all the teams are getting lumped together. So Africa, like if you're playing from any of those countries, lumped together into one big tournament. Asia, then Asia with Maritime and Oceania. Europe, but 3 of those teams will go. Latin America, and the Middle East. So Mexico and southward for Latin America, because both U.S. and Canada, they got the automatic bid to Poland. Mexico will compete with the Latin America teams to see who will represent them in Poland. So first off, what do you think of this with the countries coming in, like some handpicked out? Do you think they got that right? Do you think they got that wrong?
You have to do it. It's logic demands it, because you have all of these countries that have major player bases already there. They've got enough players to where it warrants having its own national qualifier. But what they're doing with the regional qualifiers is making sure they're not leaving anyone out. It's basically the catch-all to make sure we're not missing out on any quality talent. It gives them an opportunity. So as opposed to if you try to do one for every country, it's impossible. You're probably not going to be able to do it. And so people would miss out. So I think having the regional qualifiers is smart. It makes sense. It's what I was expecting. I'm not surprised by it.
So the one thing with the regional qualifiers, I love it because it's basically like, if you're from anywhere, you're playing in this or have a chance to go to the Olympics.
Trinidad and Tobago, you've got a chance.
Let's go. Yeah, why not? My only issue, I think a small issue, is that it's just a one-day, you have one tournament to decide the teams. I was hoping maybe a little bit of a lengthier process to make sure that we get the best or at least close to the best. Now it's like you got to ride that hot hand, which is fine. I think it's at the end of the world.
I think that's for the Olympics. That's you know, this isn't an official Olympic event, but that is the epitome of what the Olympics is your one chance to come in and, you know, you train for it, you're ready for it, but you have to show up
on the day.
There's so many people who train for 4 years for one moment, and that's the moment that you get. So I'm not necessarily opposed to it.
Sure.
I can see both sides of the argument, but I think we're in for a treat no matter what. This is going to be such a spectacle.
And I think the reason why they do it is because look how many qualifiers they have to put on. There's a lot of them, right? You got what?
You got to get it done.
Yeah, exactly. There's so many qualifiers that it's like at some point, guys, sorry, you're going to have to compete in one weekend or whatever it is, and that's how it is. The other thing is the European qualifiers are very interesting. So outside of France and Germany and the UK, you will play, like all the European teams will battle against one another. Top 3 seeds will qualify to go to Poland. Now, like, it gets a little bit interesting or a little bit confusing when if 2 teams from the same country qualify.
That was my question. Did it clarify whether that's possible?
So if that happens, they just go down the line until they find another team. So like 4th, 5th, 6th. That I think can get a little hairy, because then I think some teams might complain like, hey, I lost to Netherlands number 2 and I got knocked out earlier than this other team, but we thought we were better than this other team, you know? So I think that could get a little hairy. But at the end of the day, you have to play.
There's only one team that can represent a country. They're finding the best countries here. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So they're finding the best team in the countries, but you can have multiple teams in your regional qualifier.
So okay. So you just need to make sure if you're playing from a country that has multiple teams that you finish at a higher rank, because only one can go.
Yes.
Only one team per country.
Yes. And for the national qualifiers, obviously that makes sense. It's like it's only going to be USA teams battling against one another. So that makes perfect sense to just bring one, like whoever wins that tournament. But for Europe, that's where it gets hairy, because it's going to take the top 3. But again, if 2 of those are from Netherlands, then it goes down to the 4th place and the 5th place, you know, and so on. So it's going to get a little bit hairy there. But that Europe regional is going to be stacked.
It's going to be so difficult. It's going to be so difficult. But think of the United States as well.
Oh my God, that's going to be stacked. Yeah.
There's so many RLCS pros from the USA, and only one team can represent it. And fortunately for Europe, there's the players are represented from so many different countries that I think we'll see a lot of RLCS pros out of the European region come and compete, but we'll only see 3 Americans.
Yep. Now, let's get to Poland. That'll take place mid-June. I can't remember the exact dates. It's on here somewhere. But it is the perfect format. I love this format. And I'm one that is like I pick things out of every single format. James knows. He gets annoyed by it every week.
Time. Anytime I'm a part of any event, I always hear from you about what you don't like.
Oh my God. I love this, because actually, like, So when I was writing it up, thinking of like, oh, how could they do this with 16 teams in Poland? It's a 4-day event, which is going to be amazing, live event, but the perfect format. It's exactly the format that I dreamt in my dreams, James. It's beautiful. So here's how it works. There's 2 groups of 8 teams, and obviously they will probably rank them based on some type of seeding system that they think is, fair, which, that's how you have to do it. So 2 groups of 8, round robin. The top 2 from each group, you go to Tokyo. So you don't have to worry about a playoff or anything. Just consistency is key. As long as you do well in your groups, you're to Tokyo, top 2. Then, for probably the final day of the tournament, you go into an upper bracket or lower bracket based on where you finish in your groups. And then we get the last 3 teams from that. So I think that's like perfect. Because
that's wonderful.
Because like the one thing that you don't want is like a tiebreaker to decide from like, that like around the 5th through 7th range. You want them to battle it out for all the marbles. And that's what we're going to get. So we get like a mixture of both. The consistency, so we get the really good teams no matter what, as long as they are consistent for the round robin. And then you get that drama of those final matches.
And one of the things you'll also get, which I love because of the format, is that all the group stage matches are going to be so intense because it's an automatic bid that's on the line. A lot of times, if you do a groups to a seeded bracket, then group stage is a little lackluster. It's not as exciting. It's not as hype.
Yeah.
But because the top 2 are going from groups, everyone is going to be glued to their seat as these games are going on. We're guaranteed to get amazing teams going through right away because they're not going to have to go through the gauntlet of a bracket. But then the bracket is also going to be that last chance qualifier to get to Tokyo. And again, it's going to be an edge of your seat action type day where you're just going to be rooting for your team and rooting for underdogs. And
that's gonna be the fun
to
part.
watch. Yeah, these countries you're not expecting make runs,
because I think no one gets eliminated in group stage. At least that's what it reads here, but that could be wrong. I'm not sure. But then those upset potentials, because there is going to be massive underdogs going into this. Because when we think about it, before we get into the Tokyo format, it's like who's going to be those 7 teams, and I think odds are you would think the U.S., you would think Canada, you would think France,
Netherlands,
probably Germany,
Sweden.
like and UK, and then the other European teams.
You can't discount Sweden. It has the 4 time.
Well, there is some regional rules where Turbo might be playing for US, but we're not sure about those rules yet. Yeah, it's more about where you live than where you're from. But I don't want to get too deep into that because they haven't answered those questions yet. That's how it reads.
That'll be an interesting.
We'll talk about that in the future at some point. But so you would think we have the European teams. There's 3 that are going to be automatically there in Poland. 3 more that we don't know. So that would be a total of 6. You have US and Canada. So that'd be 8 teams. One of those teams has to lose at the very least. But there's the underdog potential. You have Brazil, who is pretty much all of the South America region. All the good players play from Brazil. You have Australia, like that. There's some upset potential there.
And you can't forget Saudi Arabia. Arabia is one of those teams that has a ton of hype behind them. There's players. What is it? Khalid and who else is over there? I think it's Ahmad, who are just super, super good players that have so much hype behind them that even European players who a lot of times play against these guys on the matchmaking servers in Europe say if Middle East was a region in RLCS, they would be competing. These guys are legit.
So I forgot this whole time to transition my studio to the other thing to show the full screen. So my apologies.
Nice
hey,
nice
episode 1, baby. Episode 1. Love it. That's going to be hype because, again, like I think there's 8 teams that I feel like are locks for Tokyo. And then there's all those upset underdog teams. But, again, we can't have 8 go because we have Japan. They're in Tokyo. So that's going to be a lot of fun, too, to see how they do, like in front of the home crowd and all that. It's going to be great. Moving on to the format for Tokyo. Single elimination. It's it, baby. It's just 18 bracket. You got one shot. And if you mess it up, that's it. You're done. It's a 2-day event. Like I know people probably want double elim and stuff, but this, again, is like just that hype of the Olympics of like, you got to show up. And again, this makes the Poland bracket or the group stage that much more important because you want a better
Seeding's
seed.
going to be so key.
Yeah, seeding is huge.
Seeding is huge. You're going to want to dodge some of the juggernauts, but honestly, I think we'll see as the tournament goes on, pretty much everyone's going to be a juggernaut. So maybe some
by the end of it.
more than others, but pretty much everyone's going to be a juggernaut here, and you'll be able to expect upsets to happen, especially with the unforgiving single elimination nature of the event. It's going to happen.
One thing that is a little weird, someone put up in chat, is that it says the dates are July 22nd through the 24th, but in the text it says it's a 2-day event. So we're not sure exactly what's going on there. It could be a 3-day event. It could be a 2-day event. I would assume if it's single elimination bracket, it would be a 2-day event. It'd be hard to fill
Maybe
in
they're planning to let us do the half flip on the 22nd.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Intro. That could be
See,
it.
James, you make perfect sense. You make perfect sense here. Me and you will do a show match again, and I'll beat you again on the stage, okay?
Whoa, okay. We'll get a rematch.
Saying.
I'll call up Xander, and we'll get a rematch going.
Like, the worst part about that match was we actually lost the game, and I was like, guys, we cannot lose this series. We can't have this happen.
So that was so great. We'll have to post a description of that what game that was. It's got to be on a VOD somewhere.
That was God, that match was so nerve wracking. So I'm like, guys, what are you doing? We can't lose this. Your rotations are garbage. What are they doing? Because of course, for
the people listening who don't know what it was an old iBuyPower Cosmic show match where it was Sad Jr., Cronovi, and Gibbs versus me, Rizzo, and Xander Woods, Xavier Woods, sorry. Okay. WWE superstar.
And to be fair, like, he's a busy man. He doesn't have a lot of time to play Rocket League, so he was, a little outclassed in this matchup.
He was going for demos.
Yes, yet we still lost game 1. And I was like, oh, man, what is happening here? One of the most impressive things, though, was Xavier on one of the face-offs. He actually somehow, like, I was cheating up. He didn't go for the ball and just immediately demoed me on the cheat up. I was like, this is next level tactics right here. It was beautiful.
He knew what he was. He was a man on a mission.
It was beautiful.
He was a man on a mission.
Oh, man. All right. So, James, any final thoughts on the Intel World Open?
I think it's just people get ready to support your teams and support the underdogs as well. And this is the first event of its kind where Psyonix is really officially supporting a global event with country versus country. It's a big deal. So be positive about it, be constructive about it, and let's do our best as a community to make sure that this event is a huge success. Yeah, man. Like, this is going to be fun. Like, I think that's one of the arguments I don't get lately is that people are like, oh, but what about the RLCS teams? I'm like, guys, we've been doing this esport for 4 years. If they have to take a 2 to 3 month break, I think that's okay for the Olympics. Yeah, this is a big deal. Cool. This is a big deal. Yeah, this is gonna be a lot of fun, and I'm really excited for it. And I really want to see some like one of these underdogs make it to Tokyo. Would be so cool to see. Imagine Saudi Arabia winning it and then versus like France. Yeah, imagine they win it and then get announced that they're going to be coming into the RLCS. Yeah, what a storyline! What a storyline! It's gonna be fun. I can't wait. All right, next up, we are going to do a little game, James, called Half Flip or Ball Chase. So the show is named after this segment, so we're going to try and keep the segment in there most of the time. So either you are with the popular opinion, so you'll ball chase it, or you will half flip out. So we're going to go through a couple topics here, kind of lightning round-ish, and let's start off with Cloud9. Cloud9 is not a playoff team. Is not, because I think that's more the popular opinion. That is not a playoff team. I'm gonna ball chase that. I'm ball chasing 100% because Cloud9, they have been struggling. Their chemistry is just not there. They squeezed out a win today, which I think keeps them alive. But I think we're more likely to see them in that 7 to 9 spot. Yeah. Definitely don't think they're getting 10th. Flight is most likely going to be getting 10th. But that's the only team that they've gotten the win against. They pulled off the win against Flight, who was in the gutter. And I think that's the problem with Cloud9, where I think Cloud9's not a terrible team, and I think they could get wins off some other teams. The problem is the two teams that I think they could have got wins off of, they played already. Lost. Rogue and E United are the teams where I'm I think you could beat them and make a playoff run, but they've already lost to them. So I think that's where the issue resides, because there's a lot of talented teams in North America nowadays. And sure, I think they will probably beat someone along the way, but they won't beat enough of those teams to leapfrog back up into the playoff chase.
They did just beat G2 last night for the Astro tournament. It's a good sign. It was a best of 3, whatever.
But they beat NRG in the Astro tournament
sure,
as well.
Of course.
So
yeah, like it's not a huge deal, but I think there is potential there. So for me personally, like I think Torment's having maybe one of his worst seasons ever. I think
so
just
you have flipping or
defensively.
ball chasing?
I am half flipping. I'm sorry.
Oh, you think
no?
I'm
sorry. I'm ball chasing.
Okay,
They are not a playoff team. Not a playoff team. But I think Torment's having a rough season, and if he can figure it out, I think they have a shot. But I am ball chasing that they are not a playoff team. Next up, James VELOCE. I'm going to say not a top 4 team, not going to the World Championships. Are you ball chasing, or are you half flipping?
Half flip? Are you kidding me?
Okay. Here we go.
How many times are people going to doubt VELOCE? You have to give them credit at some point. You can't just keep trashing them week after week. Now we're going season after season. Gibbs, you're a horrible offender at this. They lost to Barcelona in game 5. They almost reverse swept them. They took down RECIPROCITY, the number 1 seed in game 5, and they took down TSM comfortably. Yep. VELOCE, they're top 4. Who else is going to get top 4 in Europe?
James, I'm ball chasing. They are not a top 4 team.
Oh my goodness!
Did you not just talk about Barca earlier? Barca's looking good. Mouse Sports is looking shaky.
RECIPROCITY's not going to finish top 4.
Okay, well that's one that we're going to talk about in a little bit here. We'll do that one next. How about that? But so VELOCE to me, they played very well. One of the best series I've seen from them versus Rec, where they flat out won that series. And that doesn't happen often. Normally it's like, oh, the other team's playing bad, and then VELOCE will take those series. But I do think they flat out won that series. I just think there's too many teams in Europe right now that are too talented.
There's some teams in Europe. There's some teams in Europe.
All right. Well, speaking of some of those teams, Rec, will they get an auto bid for LAN, James? Are you half flipping or ball chase?
I think you know where I'm going with this one. I am half flipping out. RECIPROCITY, they aren't looking as polished to me. I think they have good moments, but overall, they've beaten Mouse, who looked terrible, and they beat Singularity, who was coming into their first week trying to get situated. So their wins aren't that impressive. I think that VELOCE is going to edge them out for the 4th spot. I think our top 4 is going to be Dignitas, Vitality, Barca, and VELOCE.
Okay, no Mouse either.
No Mouse either. I think it's going to be RECIPROCITY and Mouse in 5-6. I think those will be the teams that make it.
Okay. I'm not sure if I'm sold on Rec not making Worlds just yet, but I am sold that they are not top 2, at least right now. I do like them maybe a bit more than you, but I think it's maybe because of their schedule, like Fruity and Ferrer, they're both getting involved. Chaussette hasn't had any of those moments where he's just carried an entire match yet, and I expect to see at least 1 or 2 of those throughout the season. The one thing with them is they're just so consistent. Like over the past 3 seasons, the only European team to make it to every World Championship. I think they have it in them to make it to the World Championship. I need to see more, obviously, but I want them to top succeed, 2 is going to be maybe hard. Yeah.
I just like the players on that team. I want them to succeed. I'm just not seeing it.
We love everyone. We love everyone. So it's fine.
Not necessarily.
Speaking of loving everyone, Rizzo for MVP. Are you half flipping or ball chasing?
Ball chase, baby. I'm with you, Turtle. Give Rizzo the MVP. If he keeps playing like he's playing, he scored some incredibly clutch goals. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility.
That is fair. Like, I think the realm of possibilities, the doors opened a little bit more for Rizzo after these past 2 weeks, for sure.
The groundwork has been laid. It has been laid. So we have to. There's some players who you could already just say there's no way they're getting MVP. Oh, yeah. It's not possible. That's true. For Rizzo, it's there. It's there for the taking.
It is a possibility for sure. I'm going to half flip. I don't think he's going to actually win it by the end of it. Because I can't let Turtle be right. I just can't.
Imagine a world where they play against NRG for an auto bid to World Championship and Rizzo dribbles NRG again.
It's possible, but I think more likely from that team, it'll be JNAPS by the end of the season. I think Rizzo week 2 and week 3, like week 2, I think you could probably choose a bunch. Week 3, he had the clutch goals. But I think by the end of the season, I think it'll be JNAPS from that team that'll get the MVP. But right now, Rizzo's probably in the lead. So, but we're only 1/3 of the way through the season. We'll see how that goes. And that also means G2 has to continue to do well. You know, they have to continue to win. So we'll see. But I am going to half flip on that one for now.
You're going to ball chase eventually, Gibbs. So trust me.
One day. But I do get like 5% of the MVP vote, so I'm going to just throw it. I'm going to throw it now. Next up, Team Singularity, a playoff team. You ball chasing? Half flipping?
You know, I'm actually going to ball chase on this one. I think Singularity has a lot of talent on there, especially with Tho. He's proven that he could be a clutch player. Godsmilla with some crazy plays, and Nolly he's continuing to improve week after week, and they even took down Vitality. They took down Vitality.
Yeah.
So actually, no, you know what? On further thought,
yeah,
I'm gonna half flip.
You're gonna half flip. All right,
flip. I'm gonna half flip because although I think that they're gonna stay in the league, but
yeah, because it's hard because you have Mouse and Rec 5-6, right?
Yeah,
it's like can they
no,
pass
there's no
them?
way. Yeah, there's no way.
Yeah, so I was going to go back over and look and like, who's my top 6? And like, I don't see it.
Yeah.
Like, they played the top 4, or at least what we thought the top 4 coming into the season was. They're 1-3, so at least they got one of those wins. Last week, I think they showed their true colors a little bit. A lot of more mistakes. We saw that in week 1 as well. And week 2, I think they were just playing hot. And I think they can do that again here or there. The problem
I think they stay in the league, but no, there's no way they get top 6.
So you're thinking 7th. Okay.
I think probably 7th. Yeah, most likely.
Yeah, because I think it's like sure, like if they got hot again, that they'll take another win, but now it's against lesser competition. I'm worried about the inconsistent side of them where they're going to have bad series here or there, and they're going to drop a few of those. So I think that's where they fall down to number 7.
It was either them or Mouse. I think that Mouse series kind of decided who's going to get top 6. I think Mouse is probably going to be that 6th place team, and Singularity is going to miss out because of the series they lost.
That makes sense. Yeah. So I'm going to half flip on that as well. All right. Next one. What do we got next? Hold on. I lost my thing. All right. Here we go. Energy, top 2, an auto bid for LAN. Are you
ball chase?
Ball chase. Okay.
Ball chase. NRG, that loss for them this week against Space Station, it needed to happen. They needed to get it out of their system. I think, especially for Justin and Garrett and Turbo, getting their minds in the right place where they don't have the pressure of having a perfect season on them, going undefeated. You know, the dynasty talk will die down now that they lost. If they win versus SSG, they amp up the pressure on themselves. So if they're going to take a loss early, it's such a good loss to take it to SSG because SSG is a team that's going to already finish up there at the top. It's not a bad loss. People aren't going to be ridiculing them for it. And it allows them to get focused back on the prize. So I think it's 100% NRG finishing top 2. As always, we'll see them at Worlds.
Okay. I'm going to ball chase as well. And I think it's more because of the game differential. Like, I think Energy is going to slap some kids around once in a while and get some 3-0 sweeps. And that'll definitely help them when it comes down to later in the season with G2 or Space Station, because that's probably our top 3, right? Who we're thinking might finish up there. I think it could come down to game differential, but like if you said that there was going to be a 3-way tie right now with Energy, G2, and Space Station, I would say Energy is a lock for top 2 because I think their game differential will be better than those 2 by the end of the day. So I'm going to ball chase as well. And we got one left.
All right,
Pittsburgh Knights. Did they make the right roster move?
Half flip. I love that they got the win against Mist and Ghost, but they didn't have to break up the band. They were such a good team with Mist, and they're not a bad team with AJ, but they were better with Mist. Undoubtedly, they were better with Mist, and they messed up.
I agree.
They should. They need to call Mist back and be like, "Hey, Mist,
sorry,
I know we didn't see eye to eye, but we need you. I can't live life without you."
To be fair, Mist also messed up because he started trying out for other teams as well.
That was
So both of them messed up. Let's be real. 2 wrongs definitely don't make it right here, and I agree with you. I'm going to half flip on that Pittsburgh Knights move. I worry, like, I want to see Gyro more in this rotation. Like, I think they could eventually be better, but not the way they're playing right now. Like, I think it's too reliant on Reynolds and AJ combo when, like, you still have Gyro. Just let him move up. Like, he was great for you guys moving up last season. So Like, I think it's not the right move. Like, I think if it was missed, they would be a better team. But, both
if it ain't
teams are looking
broke,
good.
don't fix it.
True.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And the Knights, they were the sweetheart team. They were writing history.
I know.
And they had so much going for them after winning Montreal, and they just let it all go.
And they were even like a top 4 team at Worlds. Like, I think a lot of people would say that Pittsburgh Knights probably would have beat Space Station, like at that Worlds, based on their performances. So, like, why change it? But at the same time, we always talk about K-Dop, like he's a mastermind with these roster moves. So
but he's K-Dop. You can't compare the Knights and K-Dop.
That's true.
Right?
It's very true. Very true.
They're not even on the same class. Like these young guns, they got a lot to prove before we start putting them in the same sentence as K-Dop.
All right, James. The last and final segment of the show, the 50-50. Here's what we're going to do. So every week, I'm going to pick out games that I think are at least close. Like a 40 or 60% likely, who's going to win or lose. And we're going to choose the winners and losers of all these games. And we're going to keep track. Now, I don't know what we're betting on yet. So
I know how this is going to go down, Gibbs. On this show, you're going to pick the opposite of what you say on broadcast, so that you can be like, "Oh, I was wrong on the broadcast.
I was wrong here.
I actually picked the winner.
I was wrong here, but I was right on my video, but I was wrong on my podcast." But we have to decide what we're going to bet on at some point. Like, I think make sure on YouTube, put some comments down of what we should bet on. Make it fun and nothing too crazy. And by the end of the season, whoever wins, the loser will have to do the bet, as long as it's nothing crazy. Me and James will decide it, obviously. But put some ideas down in Twitch chat if you want right now, but definitely in the YouTube comments, because we'll see those forever. But we still have a bet to do with you, James, from our old podcast. We'll talk about that maybe in a few weeks. We'll see. We'll see.
I have all the equipment necessary.
Well, we're trying to get Doomsy for a show, but we'll see if that happens. But here we go. First, we'll start in NA. Ghost Gaming versus Sonics. I'm not going to try and say their town name like Leaf. Just going to say Sonics. Who do you think's going to win?
It's Susquehanna. Susquehanna Sonics.
Sonics. I mean, soon I'm moving to Pennsylvania, so I should learn it. But
yeah, Chorby's going to be moving out to Raleigh soon. So, and he's a Pennsylvania boy.
Well, Raleigh's North Carolina, so yeah.
I know. He's from Pennsylvania.
He is from Pennsylvania. That's true. All right.
But I'm going with the Sonics on this one. I think Sonics have the hot hand. I think Shock's playing really, really well. And again, I'm all for giving a team respect that they earned. They took NRG to 5 games. They took down Space Station. I'm loving what I'm seeing from the Sonics. I'm going to give them the nod here.
So I like Sonics as well, but I don't like them as much as Ghost. I'm going to go Ghost here. So Sonics, I thought was going to pull a singularity, right? Where they look good a week, maybe 2, and then they fall apart. They have not done that, clearly. Sonics seem like the real deal. I just like Ghost. I thought that Ghost Pittsburgh Knight series was fantastic. And I think best player on that field will be Atomic over Shock. And I'm going to go Ghost Gaming. It's going to be a close one, but I'm going to go Ghost for that one.
Yeah, it'll be a fun one. It's going to be a Shock versus Atomic matchup for sure.
Yeah.
But Dapper also, I want to give a shout out to Dapper. The plays that he was making last week were crazy. Like his passes, he was making Shock look that much better. Yeah, Dapper was playing lights out Rocket League. It was fun to watch.
Next up, E United versus Rogue. Kind of a battle for who's going to be in that playoff race. Who do you got here?
Rogue. I'm going Rogue on this one. I think that First Killer is going to carry. And Kronovi's already proven that he still has that clutch factor. For E United, I've seen them just play so questionably that I can't put my faith in that team at the moment.
Yeah, I couldn't put my faith in that team last season either. And they kept winning, but it was always they have to make this crazy defensive play to turn it into a goal. And I'm like, eventually percentages say you're not going to win anymore, right? And that's how I still feel about them. I don't like E United whatsoever. I think Rogue is the better team. I think Rogue, they still have some issues. I think Wonder last week, that was a pretty hurtful series where he misses 2 wide open nets.
Yes.
That's going to hurt his confidence levels because obviously everyone's going to start talking about Rogue when if they keep losing, when are you getting Win a Wonder? That's really what it comes down to. So that might hurt them.
You have First Killer, who's a prodigy, and then Kronovi, who is the golden boy of Rocket League. Wonder's going to have a target on his back no matter what.
exactly, for sure. So hopefully they win, and then that discussion dies down for a bit. But I could see that mentality getting to them eventually through the season. Hopefully it doesn't happen. Next up, Pittsburgh Knights versus Space Station Gaming. This is a juicy one.
Space Station all the way.
Okay. I got to go Space Station as well. Like, I think, obviously they just took down Energy, so they should win. But, I mean, they lost the previous week and then beat Energy. No one expected that. So I think Space Station is better, and I still worry about Pittsburgh Knights. Like, I think they put on a phenomenal series versus Ghost, but that's just one series. And
they were playing with a little bit extra against Mist, you could tell.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Veloce versus Singularity. Who you got?
Veloce, without a doubt.
Yeah, you love Veloce.
Veloce, coming off Cassio's Player of the Week performance last week.
Yeah.
And the defense also has been so good for Veloce for the most part. Their challenge game is incredible. If you go back and watch those series, they were getting to the ball, blocking every shot. And in really tough defensive situations, they had a player going for the ball, getting in the way without any hesitation, which means the comms are there, the synergy's there. And the clutch factor is also there for Veloce. I have them over Singularity.
That was the best I've seen from Veloce. I'm going to double down with you. I'm going to go Veloce as well. Next up, Reciprocity versus Barca.
Barca, 100%.
Ooh.
This is going to be. This is a match that everyone thinks is going to be close, and it's not. It's not going to be close. Barcelona is going to wipe the floor with Reciprocity. People are going to be saying, why isn't Shawset doing anything? They're going to be saying Fruity and Farah need to step up because Ronicky and Flakes are going to just dismantle them. They're going to dismantle them. Fruity's not going to be able to play physically. It's going to be a nightmare for Reciprocity.
I can't agree with you here. I have to go Reciprocity just because, like, Barca, again, they've won 2 easier games, in my opinion. They played Vitality. The trendy pick was to pick them versus a cold Vitality. That clearly didn't work out for them. I can't pick them. I can't pick them here.
Barca,
I'm going Reciprocity.
The series against Vitality could have easily been 3-1 in favor of Barca. It was 2 overtime goals.
I think Rec bounces back, though. I do think. I think it'll be close, but I think Rec will take it in the end. I don't think it's going to be blowout.
We'll come back and visit this next week, Gibbs.
We will, and you'll be wearing pigeon feathers, all right? No. TSM versus Monaco, the tale of the 2 winless teams. Grab a pillow.
Oh, man.
It's time to take a nap.
Yeah, this you don't disrespect TSM like that. TSM has looked good
they're
at times.
disrespecting the game, man. They look like crap.
TSM at times has shown us that they have the talent to be an RLCS team. Metza and Magnus and Remco all had plays. I think that TSM is going to get the win here. Monaco, I'm just not a huge fan of them. I think that Tigray sometimes is just too quiet. And if iIgnite isn't hot, and if it's just not going to happen. Extra had an incredible week for them.
Yeah.
And that's really the only thing that you can cling to if you're a Monaco fan. But Monaco, I think, is going to have a really, really difficult season. In terms of NA as well, it's Flight and Monaco are going to be the teams at the bottom.
Yeah, they have to win this game. I think both these teams have to win this game, but TSM has shown more life to me. It does feel like it's only Extra on Monaco, and that was 1 week, right? He hasn't really shown up since then. I feel like Tigray's having a rough season. I don't like either team, obviously, but I do like TSM slightly more.
You don't like either team? Last week on broadcast, you said you watched TSM play on 2 times speed.
I did.
And still fell asleep. I don't think you can be more clear about how you feel about TSM.
I don't get it, man. I don't know. Because, like, the pros were even saying, like, TSM's a top 5 team. Don't worry about it. And I'm like, where? I see no passing. I see nothing. I'm not going to go more into it because it's TSM Monaco. Who cares? So that's it. I'm done.
You're ruthless. You're the only person who can get away with saying stuff like this.
I love you, TSM. I love you, Monaco. I wish both of you could stay in the RLCS, but one of you has to finish
liar. You're lying through your teeth.
All right, Dignitas Mouse Sports. Who you got?
Dignitas.
I think I know. Yeah,
100%.
Dignitas. Dig is the best team, I think, right now, maybe in the world.
For sure. It's Dignitas, Vitality, and NRG. And it was the same at Worlds. The only difference is now Vitality has Alpha instead of Scrubkilla, but it's going to be the exact same results. Dignitas, though, if you think about the stock market, their stock is probably worth the most at the moment between all 3 of the teams.
For sure. I gotta agree. I love Dignitas. I love what Round Pen is doing. Like, even when Astral has a quiet week, they're still winning games. Love what Yukio's doing. He's playing fantastic this season. And I think that's the only a reason why Dignitas didn't look good last season was because of Yukio. So if he's playing well, the sky is the limit for them. But that's going to do it, James. We only have like 2 different picks, I think. Sonics and Ghost and Barca and Rec.
And I think that Barca Rec's going to carry a lot of weight.
All right, we'll see. We'll see.
A difference of opinion.
But that's it. That's it for the first episode of Half Flip. We're trying to keep this a little bit condensed, 30 minutes to 45. We're almost exactly around the 45-minute
Gibbs,
mark.
maybe you're going for Leaf's job with this hosting thing.
Hey, that's what I do, except I lose my voice every other week, so I can't.
Yeah, well, good job.
Yeah. But if you want to see more of this and you're listening on a podcast or something like that, twitch.tv/prediction esports. That's PREE Diction Esports. 2 E's there at the start. And that's where we do it live every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern, unless we have technical difficulties and start 10 minutes late. But don't talk about that. You can also see it on my YouTube, YouTube/Gibbs000, or on the Prediction Esports YouTube as well. And it'll be on iTunes and Spotify, all your favorite podcast services. So check out those for the podcast feeds. We'll have links in the YouTube descriptions and all of that for that stuff, so you guys can keep a track of that. And I think that's it. I think that's it for all the things I have to say. So I think we're done.
I think this was a great first show, and I look forward to next week.
Your face is beautiful. I don't know how you stayed still this entire time.
I'm talking. I've been training to be a ventriloquist, Gibbs.
I wouldn't be surprised if you were trying to do that. But that's going to do it for this week's show. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you, Jamesbot, my beautiful co-host. You're my Vanna White, too. I don't know his name. Whatever.
Thanks, Gibbs. Thanks, chat. And
All
we'll
right.
see you guys next time.
Yeah, that's it for us. We have to do a hard out here. Sorry. Normally, I think we would answer a couple questions through Twitch, but hard out for me. Sorry. So we'll catch you next week. Until then, see you later.